Hey, you guys, on today's show, the climate goblin, the climate goblin, as she is affectionately known, Saint Greta of Thunberg, is not having the best couple of weeks. So, we're going to talk about that. And then Trump rightfully pointed out what the hell is going on in Londonistan. And the Islamist mayor of London was none too pleased about that. So, that's funny. And then Violet Affleck, the daughter of Jen Garner and Ben Affleck. She needs some help. So we're going to talk about all that today on the Angela Box Show.
Hello, my name is Angela Box.
So you're talking my name. All right, Saint Greta of Thunberg, who has now cut her hair in the most unfortunate of, as the internet calls it, the Lord Farquhar haircut. Okay, this poor girl.
Mirror, mirror, show her to me. Show me the princess. Perfect.
Who is not a cute girl. And, I'm not going to make light of her spectrum, perhaps, that she's on, the autism spectrum that she might be on. But she is a very hysterical young person. And of course, a few years ago, she came on all of our radars because she was screaming and yelling about how the world was going to end in 15 years unless we all stopped driving cars and eating meat or whatever, and goes to the UN and it's like, how dare you, I'm going to drop that clip just so you remember the hilarity of this moment.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
So Saint Greta was feted and fluffed and told how amazing she is. And boy, we really need to get behind this genius because she's going to save the world. Well, her climate grift seems to have lessened a little bit because all the doom and gloom climate hysteria that she promised the world has not come true, obviously. The weather continues on, the seasons continue on, and we're still here. So now she's decided that what she needs to do is single-handedly stop Israel from, I guess, attacking Hamas. So a few months ago, there was this ridiculous flotilla of unwashed losers that decided that they're just gonna go over there and they're gonna deliver some food to the starving Gazans, even though it is Hamas stopping the food from getting to the civilians over in Gaza. But these geniuses don't seem to understand that, and they're playing right into the hands of Hamas. And Greta's over there wearing her kafifa and standing with the radical Islamists. And the first flotilla was turned away by Israel, who dealt with them like you deal with a screaming toddler. It's like, okay, just no. The way you deal with brats is you don't capitulate to brats. You don't coddle brats. You tell brats to knock it the F off, okay? And we're not playing with you. And so they were sent back. And recently there's been a new flotilla because, they just didn't have enough of a good time with Israel turning them away before. They're like, we're going to do it again. So they raised a bunch of money from a bunch of retard leftists, and they're off to see the wizard. So they're on their way to Israel again. And it just came out a few days ago that Saint Greta has been fired from the board of said flotilla. And the flotilla, which originally, I believe, they were pretending they were using wind turbines. It's like, that doesn't really work when you're out in the high seas. You kind of have to have some diesel or some gasoline to make this machine go the direction in which you would like it to go. So you're not kind of at the mercy of the wind putting you God knows where in the ocean. So, of course, that hypocrisy has been pointed out, and Greta has now been, unceremoniously dumped because I guess the flotilla organizers were like, this little twerp is just looking out for herself. It's like, we could have told you that when she was speaking at the UN 10 years ago, or whenever she was foisted upon our collective consciousness. Anyway, but what's really funny, this is the latest in this. So Israel, of course, again, is like, you're not coming in our naval waters. Like, you're not doing it. But I think that Israel or some Western nation is having some fun with these unwashed leftists, because now the latest is that their radio lines have been jammed and they're just blaring ABBA like 24/7. And it's particularly funny because, of course, Greta Thunberg is Swedish. And, listen, I love ABBA. So I wouldn't even be mad about this, but it's obviously a dig at Saint Greta. And she's just, how dare you? How dare you? So I can't wait to see how long it's going to be before this ridiculous flotilla is sent packing again by Israel and being like, no, we're not going to allow you to basically set yourself up to be taken hostage by Hamas, because Hamas will 100% take these ridiculous retard leftists hostage and then make Israel and the Western world like beg to get them back. And Israel's like, no, we're not playing with you children, off with you. So I don't know how Greta's going to manage. I don't know what she's going to do now. She said, I'm not going to be on the board. I'm just going to be a protester and a community organizer for Gaza. So, this little heifer, whatever leftist flavor of the month project, she's going to jump on it. So I don't know what's next. I can't wait to see, though, because she's made it her mission to be like a professional agitator, which, just given a great name for people with autism everywhere, isn't she? So, Saint Greta, carry on. Okay, next, speaking of radical Islamists or radical Islamists apologists, if you will, President Trump is not one of those people. And President Trump has made it very clear that when you open your borders to people who think gays should be thrown off roofs and women should be shrouded in beekeeper outfits and, and little girls' genitals mutilated and Sharia law in everywhere, in every court, like, there's going to be some problems for your culture. And one of the most egregious offenders of this is, of course, the UK.
Allahu Akbar.
The UK is on the brink, y'all. The UK is on the brink. We've got, by some reports, 3 million people a couple of weekends ago for Tommy Robinson's big march. And of course, it culminated with Charlie Kirk's assassination. So both of those came together and were like, we are fighting against these ridiculous leftists that are hell-bent on destroying a perfectly good country and a perfectly good heritage. And of course, if you're Muslim in the UK, which a great majority seem to be, and a great majority in London seem to be Muslim, you're not allowed to criticize them. And Muslims can go and have public prayer and drop to their knees facing Mecca whenever they feel like it. But God forbid you're an English citizen waving the St. George flag or the Union Jack flag, because that's considered hate speech. So UK's, they are standing and delivering for making George Orwell's 1984 become a reality. Like, it is beyond Orwellian what's going on in the UK. So Trump at his UN speech the other day, he basically said, you got to get it together, London, England, all of you who have allowed the Muslim horde to invade your countries. And the Muslim horde knows exactly what they're doing. They're like, yeah, we're going to invade your countries. We're going to have kids, and way more kids than you people are having, and we're going to take over your countries. Like, they've made it very clear that this is what they want. They want Islam to dominate the world. Like, wake the F up, you idiot leftists over in Western countries.
And force the Muslims to take up their British values. Now, we don't like your culture. We don't like your gambling and your homosexuality and your promiscuity and your man-made laws. We don't like that. I think what we've got is better. We'll keep to that. No thanks. So we believe that Islam is the best way of life, and the Islamic way of life is the best. The Sharia is the best law, and we believe sovereignty is only for Allah, and this is why we stick firm to it.
Trump said, you're basically allowing for Sharia law in London. Now, we know that there are rape gangs that have been protected by police, because if you bring attention to said rape gangs of Palestinian migrants or Pakistani migrants or whatever Muslim, whatever flavor Muslim they are, that are going around raping girls because it's, it's just part of their culture. It's just raping children. It's like, it's what they do. Like, don't be an Islamophobe. And listen, the word Islamophobia, I think we need to reframe it, because fear of Islam, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. When we see what happens when majority Islamic countries, when we see what they do to people, and certainly when we see what coddled leftist Western countries who have allowed these 7th century cave dwellers into their cultures, and it's acting like everything's great. So a little fear of Islamists, not such a bad thing. But of course, Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, who is a detestable leftist, he's one of these leftists that's like, on the one hand, I'm completely down for Islam, and I'm allowing these no-go zones, and wink, wink. I mean, what do you mean? There are no such thing as no-go zones. And then, of course, everyone in England's like, you want to see a no-go zone? Here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. And a no-go zone, essentially, for people who don't know, are places where non-Muslims dare not tread, okay? Because you will be killed or raped or assaulted or whatever. So Sadiq Khan and the leftist milquetoast losers of the UK want to pretend that these things are not happening, where they 100% are happening. The rape gangs are happening. The crime done by Muslim migrants is through the roof. And so Sadiq Khan is like, oh, President Trump's speech. And actually, let me pause it real quick. I'll pause the video so you can see that clip real quick.
Look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. But you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. What makes the world so beautiful is that each country is unique. But to stay this way, every sovereign nation must have the right to control their own borders. You have the right to control your borders, as we do now, and to limit the sheer numbers of migrants entering their countries and paid for by the people of that nation that were there and that built that particular nation at the time. They put their blood, sweat, tears, money into that country, and now they're being ruined. Proud nations must be allowed to protect their communities and prevent their societies from being overwhelmed by people they have never seen before, with different customs, religions, with different everything.
Okay, so President Trump rightfully said that if y'all don't get your shit together, there's going to be Sharia law throughout the land. Christianity is the one thing I think at this point holding Western civilization together, because when you get rid of Christianity, when you get rid of Judeo-Christian values, or anything that made the West what it is, the West is going to be no more. And so these globalists that have been, by hook or by crook, trying to destroy the West, it's not because they necessarily think that, what they're doing over in Muslim countries is great. No, it's called destabilization. So then they are always in control. Okay. It's about power. So anyway, Sadiq Khan's out there crying, saying that President Trump is Islamist. It's just an Islamophobe. And it's like, again, you're literally, there are places in London where Sharia law is 100% being used in private courts. And it's like, when Trump says something, when are you dumbasses going to realize that he's not just pulling it out of his ass? Okay. If he's saying something, he knows it to be true. And in England, there are private courts that are using Sharia law in order to adjudicate cases. Now, Sharia law obviously is problematic for women, especially, and for non-Muslims, most certainly. And they allow for genital mutilation, they allow for honor killings, they allow for all the lovely things that Islam has brought us. And so, yeah, President Trump is rightfully making sure that the world is put on notice that we see what you're doing over there in England, and we don't like it. Now, Sadiq Khan, as I mentioned, the mayor of London, is a particularly vile Muslim. And he's the kind of Muslim that out of the one side of his mouth is like, Islam's the best. And if you're not going to allow me to run roughshod over Western values with Islamic values, well, you're an Islamophobe and a bigot and all the things. And out of the other side of his mouth, he's like, let's do the Pride Parade stuff. So it's like he's the type of leftist that doesn't seem to realize, and maybe the type of Muslim that doesn't seem to realize that he would be thrown off the first roof if the Muslims gain a true foothold in England. Like, y'all are so retarded, okay? But I think it's great. Like, let's keep bringing attention to the religion of peace and the wonderful outcomes that the religion of peace has brought us throughout the Western world. And perhaps we should stop allowing for such rampant Muslim migration. Just a thought. So Ben Affleck, obviously a few years ago, was married to Jen Gardner for a hot minute. And this was his time where he was like, I'm going to be a good father and a good husband. And I'm going to marry this total white bread girl who is just boring as the day is long with her Neutrogena commercials and her dimples. And I'm going to pop out some kids and I'm going to be normal. But in reality, all Ben Affleck really wanted to do was snort coke off hookers' butts, namely J-Lo's butt. And obviously he's done with J-Lo now, thank God. But now he's got to reckon with the fact that he has 2 out of 3 of these kids seem to be complete disasters. Okay. Now let us go through them. Okay. The son seems to be Samuel is his name. And I am embarrassed to admit I know the names of all 3 of their children off the top of my head with no Googling whatsoever. It's embarrassing. Samuel, who's the son, he's a teenager and he seems to be relatively normal. I mean, at least for now. Like, we haven't seen any David Beckham level stupidity yet from this one. But he does seem to be a little spoiled, as anyone raised in extreme wealth would be. But he seems to be normal. He hasn't transgendered yet. Like, thank God. Now, the middle child is a girl named Serafina. As far as I know, last we checked in on Serafina has decided that she is non-binary and she goes by the name of Finn, and she has shaved her head and looks as delightful as you would imagine, and evidently is very good friends with J-Lo's daughter named Emme, who looks a lot like Mark Anthony. Whew. And she evidently is also non-binary and has pronouns of they, them, of course. And J-Lo is just super proud of her daughter and had her come out and sing with her one day. She's like, I'm just so proud of them. So I'm going to roll that clip for you because F J-Lo, she's the worst.
Waiting for you, darling, don't be afraid. I have loved you for 1,000 years. I love you for 1,000.
Shut up, bitch!
Okay, then we have the oldest daughter. The oldest daughter is a child named Violet. Okay, now Violet is an unfortunate looking child. Violet has ears the size of Dumbo's little sister, unfortunately. And if I had been Jennifer Garner, who also had a little bit of she had larger ears, but not the size of this kid's. If I had been Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck, I'd be like, let's get those ears bent back for you. Like, let's do that for our child. They didn't, weirdly enough. And then she wears these, like, very large, unattractive glasses. Like, she's made herself out to be Like she looks like if a Wesleyan student was, if you could make the stereotype of someone who went to Wesleyan, like Hillary Clinton's alma mater or Oberlin College, it would be this kid. Okay. She's got the big thick glasses. She's got the big ears. She's got, the hair that doesn't want to behave. The best part about Violet Affleck, or the worst, depending on your outlook, it's pretty good for me because I think it's funny. And it really does show the poor parenting of Ben Affleck and Jen Garner. Even though we're supposed to think that Jen Garner is just mom of the year over here. Violet Affleck has taken to wearing a mask wherever she goes and likes to lecture us about mask wearing. So a few months ago, she goes to the LA City Council. Maybe it was during the pandemic. I feel like it was at the end of the pandemic. And of course, y'all know what I think about the pandemic. I think it was a scam. I think it was all used to get rid of one guy, along with your little mask theater and your plexiglass and your vaccine push in order to depopulate and all the things we know you did. Okay. I never did any of it. Okay. I never wore a mask, and I flipped anyone off who tried to give me one. Okay. So this brainwashed little child who's about 18, 19 years old, goes in front of the LA City Council and just lambasts them. It's like, how dare you not have people wear masks anymore? Like, I think we need to make sure we have indoor mask mandates again and outdoor mask mandates. And what is wrong with you? And then she did it again the other day. And to be fair to Violet, it is a better look for her, I would say, to wear a Darth Vader-like mask than to show her face to the world. That might be cruel. She'll probably grow into her look. Certainly if she gets those ears pinned back. And maybe if she got those ears pinned back, she would feel like more attractive and want to show her face. But anyway, but here's the poor parenting, I think, that we have exhibited here. So in Violet's defense, if you think of it that you are a Gen Z or whatever generation the young ones are now, they were brainwashed so mightily during COVID with staying away from their friends, with masking up because it's going to get you. It's going to get you if you don't put on a mask, to getting the vaccines, to all the brainwashing that they were subjected to. And certainly living in LA, it was like, Mach 10 brainwashing that they had. And then all of a sudden, it's quote over and we're not wearing masks anymore. And Violet's probably like, what do you mean we're not wearing masks anymore? Like, you literally said that if we don't wear masks, we're going to kill grandma. So let me drop this clip, what she said the other day in wherever she was at, because it's really sad and funny.
Here's what we know about SARS-CoV-2. It is airborne, floating and lingering in the air. One infection can result in disabling damage to almost every cell in the body, from the brain and heart to the nerves and blood vessels. Every subsequent infection increases the risk of long COVID and places people who already have it in greater danger. Here's what we don't know, is what it does to reinfect children over and over and over again with no end point in sight from the day they are born. We are about to find out. As Dr. Akiko Iwasaki says, at this point, the whole population is the control group, and after only 5 years, long COVID has surpassed asthma as the most common chronic illness in children. 5 years. I am terrified for the children who do not or soon will not know a world without debilitating pain and exhaustion, who cannot trust their bodies to play, explore, and imagine, and who will not know the potential of their own minds unfettered by the cognitive damage from a COVID-19 infection. And I am furious on their behalf. It is neglect of the highest order to look children in the eyes and say, we knew how to protect you, and we didn't do it. We have access to a technology to prevent airborne disease, something that millions of our ancestors and millions of people around the world today would kill for, and we refuse to use it. And I shudder to think of where we will be in another 5 years of unmitigated infection and reinfection.
Oh, Violet Affleck, I understand. I understand your confusion, because the adults in your life told you that not only are we all are going to die in 5 years because of driving cars and eating meat, but also if we don't wear this big cone bra on our face, that we're going to kill grandma. So I understand your confusion, Violet. And I think that your parents suck. Okay. I think they suck. And I think here's why. because they went along with it. All of you leftists in Hollywood who pushed the propaganda that you were told to push. So the rest of us, normals, the hoi polloi out there that worship the ground Hollywood walks on, that we would do as we're told. And so my question is, like, parents, like, you need to have a talk with this child, and you need to say, listen, I just want to let you know, Violet, is that it was all bullshit. Okay. We basically were told that this is what we need to do because we needed to get the unwashed masses in line with doing all the COVID things. But in reality, it was total bullshit. Okay. And we're telling you this now as your parents, because we don't want you to waste your life, tilting at this windmill that everyone needs to be in a mask all the time. Like, stop it. You sound insane. They won't do that because they would have to admit they were wrong. They were shitty parents, and you've been lied to. They're not going to do that. So they're just going to allow their daughter to look like an unhinged Ted Kaczynski lunatic and waste her life running around woke scolding everyone for not wearing a mask, which, again, if you'd been lied to, like Violet Affleck was lied to, and her generation and all these libtards that ran around their masks for years, why did y'all just stop one day? Like, how come you stopped? If it was the only thing that wasn't going to kill grandma, and if COVID's still here somewhere floating around, like, why did y'all stop? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But we're dealing with leftists, and they're stupid people. So carry on, I suppose, Violet. All right, that's where I'm going to leave today's video. Please let me know what you think down below. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things, and I will see you in the next video. Thy will be done. Bye.